What's going on there, YouTube? And welcome to Fresh Comic Stories. Guys, this is the channel that we basically sit down and cover different kinds of comic book stories. Now, guys, today we are going to jump back over to Moon Knight because a long time ago, one of my subscribers asked me to continue our run on Moon Knight, and we covered the first two volumes of Moon Knight. Now, we're going to cover Volume 3, God and Country. And honestly, guys, this storyline is a pretty good storyline. So, I do hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe for more comic book videos in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read? Well, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, let's dive into Moon Knight Volume 3, God and Country. So this story picks up right after the heels of Civil War, which is something I want to mention right off the bat, because when it comes to Civil War, it was not an event that happened and went away. It actually played throughout most of the Marvel titles that were going on at that time, which is another reason why I'm stating this takes place right after Civil War, which you will understand what I mean as we progress through this storyline. But Volume 3 is honestly a good story which puts Moon Knight in a new spot in his life. But we pick up with Moon Knight out on parole doing his usual thing, which of course means beating up on some thugs. But the point of this introduction is to show us that Moon Knight is back at full strength now, which was something we kind of saw him deal with back in the first two videos. Moon Knight was badly injured, and slowly he had to regain his strength to be a hero again. But with him being back on the streets, he is also doing his bidding for the guy he believes he works for, which is Khonshu. Now, something we see him doing is that every time he takes a guy out, he leaves the mark of Khonshu as a way to say he did this for the god he is working for. But something we are going to see in this story is that he is going too far with the work he is trying to do for the guy he believes he is working for. What I mean is that Moon Knight is basically stabbing people, breaking limbs to the point where he rips off one of the bad guy's ears. But again, this is him doing all of this in the eye of Khonshu. Here comes the big problem with him doing all of this. The word is getting out what Moon Knight is doing. He's supposed to be a hero who is working under Iron Man. He is a registered hero, which if you remember that with the event of Civil War, if you are not registered, you are an outlaw then. But you are registered, then you are safe really from the new law that Iron Man had made. And so now you have the public asking Iron Man, which at this point is director of S.H.I.E.L.D., what he's going to do about this Moon Knight problem, because now you have a hero that you say he's a good guy, he is registered, but he's going out there actually doing some mess up things. That's not a good hero, that's an anti-hero. But after that night with him doing some horrible things, he meets up with the character Crawley, which Crawley is the character that Moon Knight saved once, but Moon Knight aka Mark Spectra uses Crawley as an informant to get information on different crooks in the city for Moon Knight to go after later on. And so we pick up with Crawley giving him some information about some possibilities of crooks to go after, which Mark Spectra passes on every single one of them, until Crawley brings up Killer Strike, who just recently gotten out of jail. Now, the reason why this matters a lot is because Killer Strike is actually the person who crippled Moon Knight's friend Frenchie aka John Paul. So when Moon Knight hears about this, he goes right after Killer Strike to bring him in and to hopefully take care of him once again. Now, Killer Strike was never a character who fans would rave over, and most of the time superheroes will be able to defeat him very easily. Now, this does lead into Moon Knight going after Killer Strike, but once again, he takes it too far as a hero, to the point he brutally beats down Killer Strike in front of a crowd, which makes people wonder what is wrong with Moon Knight. Also, when is Iron Man going to step in? but also how did a hero like Moon Knight was able to get a pass to work under Iron Man in the first place? This should have not happened at all. And so with Moon Knight doing that, again, more footage gets to Iron Man. And so with him seeing this, it leads to a bunch of questions. But the main one he has is how in the world did Moon Knight pass the psych test? Because what Iron Man is seeing right now is that basically this man is crazy. There is no way he should have passed the test. And also, he should not be out on the street claiming to be a hero when he is doing all of these horrible acts. And so you have Iron Man tell his people to get hold of the doctor who passed Moon Knight and let him get registered. Now we pick up with Mark Spector working out with his close friend John Paul, aka Frenchie, who is also with his boyfriend Rob, and they are just working out at the random gym. Now this is where you had a story kind of try to ruin the friendship between John Paul and Mark Spector, because while they are working out, Mark on accident hits Rob in the face. But with that happening, John Paul gets angry because he has been around Mark as Moon Knight for years. He believes that if you are a friend of Moon Knight, well, you are always going to end up hurt, just the same way as Rob just got hurt again. But another reason why John Paul is upset about the fact Mark went after Killer Strike, something he felt like that should have been left alone, because Frenchie had moved on with the fact that he is now crippled thanks to Killer Strike. But with Mark Spector going after Killer Strike, it's kind of like you just reopened old wounds. Those wounds were closed and healed. With you going after him, you just basically reopened those wounds. Now we pick up with another character who is going to be the bad guy in this story, which is Black Spectra, aka Carson Knowles. Now he was always a Moon Knight bad guy more than any other character, but we pick up with him because he was just recently released from prison. Now he is trying to live a normal life. The problem is that a lot of factors keeps pushing him into the life. The main factor is his parole officer, where he is making Carson pay him money to keep him out of jail, which makes Carson angry. And so we see him go home and go to his bedroom, where we see that he has a hidden room in there and he pulls out some kind of case, and that is when he pulls out his old weapon he used to use when he was Black Spectra. Now we pick up with Mark once again, and this is to show that not just John Paul is about to leave his life, that now he is about to lose Marlene as well, which if you guys don't know who she is, she plays the girl who loves Mark, but she wants him to leave the life of Moon Knight behind, which of course she is unable to convince him to leave it behind. But the biggest thing about this moment is that as soon as she leaves the room, we see Mark pull out the face of Bushman, which if you remember back in volume 1 of this run, Moon Knight killed Bushman and had cut off his face for Khonshu. But when he is playing with the face of Bushman, Marlene walks back in the apartment and sees him playing with it, which of course freaks her out, and she runs leaving the apartment once again, saying she is done being with him. But we do jump back over to Carson, who once again is Black Spectra, where we see him still trying to live a normal life now. He is trying to leave the supervillain life behind. But remember that his parole officer is kind of making it hard for him by making him pay money to stay out of prison. And so when you have his parole officer kind of tell him that his P test has failed, that Carson needs to pay extra amount of money to stay out of jail. And you then have Carson grab a pair of scissors, and then he ends up stabbing his parole officer right in the neck, which of course kills him. And so with that happening, Carson just pulled himself back into the life of a supervillain. Now we do follow Carson go do two different things. The first thing we see him do is that he goes to a museum, where we really see him kind of researching different things about great warriors of the past. But him seeing this kind of reminding him about his past life, because the armor of a gladiator is really similar to his own outfit when he was Black Spectra. But of course, this is really fueling his motive to become a bad guy once again. And then we see him run into Marlene, which this is huge because they do have a small history with one another. But since Moon Knight kind of pushed Marlene away, we are seeing her kind of falling for Carson once again, only because she is lonely and Carson is telling her that he has changed and no longer a bad guy, which we all know that's bull. He's a bad guy now. Now we pick up with Moon Knight right now gearing up to go out again to do more bidding for Khonshu. But this is where we once again see him kind of losing more people he was close to, because we have his mechanic Ray Landers, who again is around to fix the Moon Knight plane. But Moon Knight is always angry now, to the point where when Ray is trying to tell Moon Knight about a certain part of the plane that is not working right, Moon Knight just tells him to be quiet and kind of shakes off what Ray Landers is trying to tell him. But also Ray is trying to ask Moon Knight to train him because he wants to help Moon Knight out. But you have Moon Knight tell him no and basically just leaves in his plane. Now, we do reach the point of the story where something big happens that makes the public even more scared of Moon Knight, because we pick up with Moon Knight going after a random gang. And of course, this seems like just Moon Knight going out there just being a hero who brutally beats up people. But here comes the big factor though. After Moon Knight takes down every single member, one member does get back up, gets a gun, and is about to shoot Moon Knight from behind. But right when that's about to happen, the Moon Knight plane shoots the guy down and basically kills the man. And with that happening, it happens right in front of the police. And it's kind of like, oh crap. It now seems like that Moon Knight just killed somebody right in front of the police. But we also pick up with Carson once again. And this is a really important part of the story because we pick up with him going after a random man, which Carson kills the man, but we see him leave a moon mark in the man's head, making it seem like that Moon Knight did this. This is just building up the idea that Moon Knight has actually gone crazy and now killing people, which now will make Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. say, we need to bring Moon Knight in because now he's out there killing people, because now Black Spectra just framed Moon Knight. And so with the two things happening, of course, it gets all over the news. The public is asking over and over again, what is S.H.I.E.L.D. going to do with Moon Knight? Why was he given a pass in the first place? But while the news are playing, not just in front of random people, but also all the people who are close to Moon Knight. But then we see that Iron Man is trying to get a hold of the doctor who passed Moon Knight on the psych test, only to get word from the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that the doctor they were looking for is actually dead. He killed himself. And the question is though now, why did this doctor kill himself for? But then we jump over to Carson, where we see him meeting up with some random guy who is trying to sell him different weapons, which of course, this is just continuing the idea of Carson slipping back into the idea of being a villain once again. And so you have him tell the guy he's going to take all the weapons, but he then kills the guy before he packs up and leave. But now we pick up with Mark Spector and Marlene, which it seems like this is the moment that they are going to rebuild their bond to one another, which it is Marlene asking why she saw Mark playing with the cut off face of Bushman. Now, before he is really able to give her an honest answer, you have Marlene tell Mark that she ran into Carson, which is huge because Carson is again known as Black Spectra and they have fought multiple times in the past years. And so with him being back in the picture, he freaks out at Marlene for her not calling Mark as soon as she saw him, which leads them going back and forth in the argument, and then Moon Knight leaving so he can go out there and find Carson. But we actually jump over to Carson, where we pick up with him right now overhearing a conversation about stolen tech from Stark Enterprise, which this is kind of huge because we will pick up with him down the road finding out where the stolen tech is. We also see him basically getting the tech and try to use it down the road. Now we pick up with Mark Spector again, and this is where we see the fact that he is losing all of his allies one by one, because we pick up with him right now arguing with Ray again, because this is where we find out that Ray was the one who controlled the Moon Knight plane to shoot down the one thug from earlier, which Moon Knight is angry about it. But Ray is trying to tell Moon Knight that it had to be done because bad people do not deserve to live because what they have done. But we see Moon Knight disagree and he leaves. But the problem is though that while they are arguing, you have S.H.I.E.L.D. and Iron Man break into the base of Moon Knight to arrest him. This leads to Iron Man telling Moon Knight that now he is under investigation, but it is very close to him getting arrested. Now you do have Moon Knight basically tell him that he is innocent, that everything that is going on is the return of Black Spectra. Remember that Mark Spector knows that Black Spectra is back in the picture again. And so with that, he is trying to tell Iron Man that he is coming after the wrong man. And he needs to go find Black Spectra right now before he does something else. Now we pick up with Black Spectra, who right now just kidnapped some random man who was the one who stolen the Stark tech from earlier. If you guys remember, Stark tech got stolen, and so we come to find out what that tech is, because you have the guy give it over to Black Spectra, that basically a bunch of nanobots are going to fly into the bodies of different people across New York. And once that happens, Black Spectra will be able to control every single one of them. And so that's his new goal in the storyline, to use the nanobots as a way to kind of take over each person's body. Now we jump back over to Mark Spector talking to Khonshu, the god that he has been working for. Remember that Khonshu is only seen by Mark Spector only. No one else can see this god at all. But we are now seeing the beginning where Moon Knight is trying to leave the god behind, because you have Mark Spector tell Khonshu that he is done and he will no longer do his bidding, which then leads to Khonshu telling Mark Spector that without him he would not be anything at all. And so it is Khonshu basically telling Mark Spector that if he does leave, he will be a pathetic man once again. But before they are able to continue argue about who is right and who is wrong, you have Black Spectra appear and start to attack Moon Knight. Which of course, this leads into Moon Knight getting his butt kicked. And if you are asking why he's getting his butt kicked, this is Black Spectra catching Moon Knight off guard. Moon Knight was minding his own business, not expecting for Black Spectra to come after him like this. And so you have Moon Knight just get his butt kicked, and Black Spectra leaves him there so he continue with his plan to take control over a large crowd of people in New York City. And so after Black Spectra had defeated Moon Knight in his own home, we see Black Spectra go to the middle of the city, where right now we see that there's a celebration going on in the middle of the city. Because right now the people of New York are happy with the fact that Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. just put the new law in effect. If you are now working for S.H.I.E.L.D., well, hey, you're going to jail. But if you work for S.H.I.E.L.D., you're a free superhero and can do whatever you want to do. And so you have Iron Man out there being one of the reasons why the people should celebrate, because, hey, Iron Man put that new law in effect. But he's not really there. Right now, he's there as an hologram. But the thing is, though, guys, while that is happening on the rooftop, you have Black Spectra there watching over the crowd of people. And that is when he released the nanobots into the crowd of people. And remember, if these nanobots get inside someone's body, he'll be able to control them from now on. But of course, Moon Knight is not down. He is actually back up thanks to the fact that Crawley was able to find him in his apartment. Which of course, when Crawley found Moon Knight, he was able to take him to his second hidden base and help him put on the Moon Knight outfit to go after Black Spectra. Which of course, this leads to a big battle between the two of them. Now, this is the most funny part of the whole story, because when Moon Knight gets there, Moon Knight gets his butt kicked. Like, he gets his butt kicked very badly by Black Spectra. Because remember, Moon Knight was caught off guard by Black Spectra earlier, and he was badly beaten by Black Spectra. And so with that happening, he's still injured. And so when Moon Knight goes after Black Spectra, it's kind of like, dude, you're not at full strength. This man is. You're not. And so Black Spectra just keeps beating down on Moon Knight over and over and over again. But here comes the big funny part of the whole storyline. I literally laughed my butt off when this happened. When Black Spectra beat down Moon Knight once again on the rooftop of this building, Black Spectra walked away. He walked away kind of like, hey, I won. You're badly beaten and I can move on with my life. While Black Spectra is so busy focusing on the crowd of people, Moon Knight just comes from behind Black Spectra and just push him off. That's it. Just push him off. Said, boop, gone. And that's how Black Spectra was defeated, because he died. Because he fell from the rooftop straight to the ground and he died. And I'm all like, really? That's how it goes? Moon Knight just sneaks up from behind and pushed the man off the rooftop? To me, is the most funniest way to defeat a bad guy. But anyways, with that happening, with Moon Knight just basically killing Black Spectra, you have Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of like, get him. We saw it happen, get him. And when they get to the rooftop, Moon Knight is already gone. But with Moon Knight killing Black Spectra, he is now wanted by Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. And so, as a way to kind of close off this storyline, we see a couple of things happen. The first thing that happened is that with Moon Knight killing Black Spectra in front of that crowd of people, it was on live television. And so all of Moon Knight allies just watch it happen. John Paul, Rob, Ray Lander, Marlene, they all saw him just kill somebody on live television. And they're kind of like, we're done. We are all done with Moon Knight. But the biggest thing that happened is that, again, with Moon Knight being a wanted man, he wants to go into hiding. And so you have Moon Knight tell the god of Khonshu that he is done. That he is done working for him. That he is no longer going to be Moon Knight anymore. And that is how the story ends. And guys, this is where we're going to end today's video. So guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I am out of here and I will see you on the next comic book video. Later guys, have a great day.